Psychology of dogs that lick your face, what it really means. When a dog comes up to you and starts licking your face, most people interpret it in a very simple way. They call it affection, kisses, or just a cute habit. But behavioral science shows that this action is far more complex. It is not random, and it is not driven by a single emotion. It is a layered behavior shaped by evolution, attachment systems, neurochemistry, and learned responses. To understand what is really happening, we need to start with the most obvious explanation: affection. Research confirms that physical interaction between dogs and humans has measurable biological effects. Just 10 minutes of contact can reduce cortisol levels in humans by up to 23%, while dogs show a parallel reduction in stress markers. At the same time, oxytocin, the hormone responsible for bonding, increases in both species. This creates a bidirectional feedback loop where both the dog and the owner reinforce each other's sense of connection. However, affection alone does not explain the specificity of the behavior. If a dog simply wanted contact, it could lick your hands, arms, or any other accessible part of your body. Yet observational patterns show that a large proportion of dogs specifically target the face, especially the mouth, nose, and eyes. This is not accidental. Your face is the most information-dense area of your body. It contains visual signals, emotional expressions, voice origin, and a concentrated scent signature. Dogs rely heavily on human facial cues to interpret their environment. In controlled experiments, approximately 83% of dogs looked at their owner's face when confronted with an unfamiliar or ambiguous situation, and then adjusted their behavior based on the owner's expression. This means that when a dog licks your face, it is interacting with the primary source of information it uses to understand the world. The behavior is not just physical contact. It is a form of communication directed at the most important signal center available. To fully understand this, we also need to look at the evolutionary origin of the behavior. In wolf packs, face licking appears very early in development. Around 3 to 4 weeks of age, wolf pups begin licking the faces of adult wolves. This behavior serves two main functions. It strengthens social bonds, and it triggers regurgitation of food. In other words, it is both a survival mechanism and a communication tool. This pattern is deeply ingrained and does not disappear in domestic dogs. Instead, it is repurposed. When your dog licks your face, part of its brain is activating this early life behavioral program, treating you as the central provider and social reference point. This ties directly into attachment theory. Studies adapted from human developmental psychology show that around 60 to 65% of dogs display secure attachment patterns toward their owners. These dogs seek proximity during uncertainty, show distress when separated, and relax when reunited. Physical contact plays a critical role in regulating their emotional state, reducing stress indicators by up to 30 to 40%. This means that licking is not just an expression of affection, it is also a regulatory behavior. The dog is actively stabilizing its nervous system through interaction with you. Another important factor is scent. Dogs process smell at a level far beyond human perception, and your scent is one of the most powerful stimuli in their environment. Brain imaging studies using fMRI have shown that a familiar human scent activates the caudate nucleus, the brain's reward center, more strongly than food in many dogs. This effect was observed in the majority of tested subjects, and the presence of the owner's scent was also associated with reduced heart rate and lower stress responses. Since your face carries a concentrated combination of breath, skin oils, and unique chemical markers, it becomes one of the most rewarding and meaningful targets for interaction. At this point, it becomes clear that face licking is not a single behavior, but a shared mechanism used in different emotional states. In calm situations, it often reflects bonding. This type of licking is slow, rhythmic, and accompanied by relaxed body language. It is the most common form and is observed in the majority of everyday interactions. In high arousal situations, such as when you return home, the behavior changes. Licking becomes faster, more intense, and is combined with jumping or exaggerated movement. This is driven by a sudden shift in neurochemistry, a drop in cortisol, and a spike in dopamine, and occurs in a large percentage of dogs during reunions. There is also a third category that is frequently misunderstood: stress regulation. Studies on dogs left alone at home show that stress responses can begin even before the owner leaves, triggered by departure cues such as putting on shoes or picking up keys. Vocalization can begin on average within 3 minutes and 15 seconds after departure, and destructive behaviors may appear within 7 minutes. More importantly, stress does not simply decline over time. It cycles in intervals of approximately 20 to 30 minutes. When the owner returns, the dog is not starting from a neutral state, but recovering from prolonged physiological activation. In this context, licking serves as a way to reduce arousal and reestablish a sense of safety. Another critical component is learning. Dogs are highly sensitive to reinforcement patterns, and human reactions play a significant role in shaping behavior. When a dog licks your face, your response is rarely consistent. Sometimes you laugh, sometimes you push the dog away, and sometimes you engage verbally. This inconsistency creates what behavioral psychologists call a variable reinforcement schedule. Such schedules are known to make behaviors significantly more persistent and resistant to extinction, in some cases up to 3 times stronger than consistently reinforced behaviors. This means that even if the behavior started for biological reasons, it can become reinforced and repeated through interaction. Finally, there is a deeper layer involving emotional synchronization. Long-term studies have shown that dogs and their owners exhibit correlated stress patterns over time. The owner's cortisol levels can predict the dog's cortisol levels, indicating that dogs are not only reacting to visible behavior, but also to internal emotional states. As a result, face licking often increases in specific contexts, such as after separation, during changes in routine, or when the owner is experiencing stress or distraction. In these moments, the dog is not simply expressing affection, but actively responding to subtle changes in the environment and in the owner's condition. Taken together, this behavior is best understood as a multi-layered system. It combines an evolutionary survival pattern, an attachment-driven need for proximity, a neurochemical bonding mechanism, a learned reinforcement loop, and real-time emotional feedback. When your dog licks your face, it is not performing a simple action. It is engaging in a complex interaction that reflects both its internal state and its interpretation of yours. Understanding this changes the way the behavior should be perceived. Instead of seeing it as a random or purely affectionate act, it becomes a form of communication. The key question is no longer, "Why is my dog licking my face?" but rather, "What is my dog responding to in this moment?"